I think so. But it's doing that.
I did something to.
I think it's up here. I think it's here, right? I think I muted there.
And we mute the actual.
And then I unmuted it here.
I just put your volume down to nothing down there, and then we'll do mute here.
I think that does it. And then that's not muted, but I don't hear anything. But that's
We'll make sure people can hear us. I mean,
so I just sent her the. I'll just let her know. I just saw Josh.
okay, great.
Hi. Hey. I may be like this. Thank you. Okay, that's it. Don't ask me why I'm having so many problems. I wanted it switched. It's this one that should be the. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How are you?
Good.
You do good?
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, good. Being productive,
Excellent.
trying to be. How about
Always
that?
trying.
It is at
Yeah.
6, correct?
But that was that.
It is at 6.
Yeah, we were worried about a quorum. We've got a couple that can't come.
We're back on upstairs.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody's not here.
Up, tag your head.
Yep.
You're not here, that's what
Congratulations,
happened.
email.
Yeah, that's right. And you said visiting, right? That was what
Yeah.
search.
I can search.
Is it visiting?
Mhm. Got it. If there's less, I'll load the responses.
Well,
I can see that. And, leave of absence. I did not want to be
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
It's gonna take days. Re-recording. Relive.
Yep.
And recording.
Did you guys take any time off yet?
A little bit. I just got back from Orlando. We did Discovery Code down there.
What
No
is it?
Disney.
Oh, okay. Discovery Cove?
Yeah, it's like this, So you set it up like a tropical island and they have all these like snorkeling and you swim with dolphins and
Oh, cool.
all inclusive. It was nice.
I'm just gonna.
Can you guys hear us? We can't hear you, but I can see you. Okay. Hello? That's the wrong. This one. Hello? I don't have any other choice. You have to mute it on the Vibe board and then have it unmuted on your computer. Maybe.
Yep, we're all set. Can you hear us now? Carla?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect.
We just didn't want it to be recording while we were gathering, so apologize.
Sure, that's fine. I just couldn't, I was just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and I was pushing the wrong one because I'm up on 2 screens, so apologies. No, we're just waiting for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think someone.
Did we get that? That's true. Yeah. It's just water. Oh, here he is.
All right, perfect. You can
Just confirm that that's him.
Hello, sorry about that.
Hey Neil, how are you?
Yes.
Yep, great.
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
So I'm normally there in person, but for these Zoom links, is there like a really obvious place I should be able to find it? Or does
Yeah.
it have to be sent out?
It's okay. It's on the calendar that you're invited to. So when you go on
Okay,
Google, it's just on that calendar, Neil. We can start adding it to the agenda though. We can definitely do that.
I need to save the calendar as a favorite, so thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
Go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes. They are attached in attachment A. I'll take a look at those. But do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Most to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yay!
Hello.
I know you haven't pulled up.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just putting.
Minutes
people in.
approved.
Who seconded it, Neil?
Neil seconded.
Go ahead.
And we don't have any visiting parent community members or faculty, so we'll move right on to the Director of Operations report.
All right. If you can, that's fine. I'll go over the facilities report first.
You want that up too? Up to you.
It's up to you. You can click on it if you want. I think everybody has a copy in the agenda, but that's fine too. So for complete projects, we have the monument sign proof. It was approved. Final payment was made. So we have paid for the sign. The sign company is requesting permits now. Then the anticipated completion, we have been assured, will be before the 23-24 school year. So over the summer, we will have that installed. The kiln has also been repaired. I know we talked about this last time. It did require a little bit more than what we were anticipating, like not fixing it because it can blast. So that person has, we do have a vendor now that we have on file, and he is on regular maintenance for the kiln as well. The final walkthrough for the new chemical and paper supply contract was held on June 13th, 2023. And this new contract that we're moving away from our previous vendor will save us approximately $8,000 to $10,000 per year in supplies. So we were spending about $22,000, and we'll be bringing that number down to about 12 to 14. So significant savings there. School safety update, school safety grant is expected to continue for the 23-24 school year. We will apply for this grant if and when it opens. We anticipate we'll be going to our safety team to just determine what our needs are for the year and bring that to faculty as well, and then we will apply. Generally, these are typically approved as long as the requests are reasonable. And we have started the conversation also of, does this include maybe a shared service for an SRO? We have not landed on where we plan to go with that, but it is an option with this grant should it open again. So that's on the table for that school safety grant. And we have completed all mandatory fire drills for the 22-23 school year. We were all pleased when we conducted that on the last day of school, but we kept pushing it off because we didn't like the timing. So there it happened. We had it about 2 p.m. on the last day of school. Upcoming projects, we've got the playground equipment is arriving tomorrow to our campus. So this is very exciting. And they will be working on one playground at a time. So our summer school students do have access to a playground should they need recess at some point. But they will be working for approximately 1 to 2 weeks with both of the playgrounds. So we're excited to unveil the playground when it is installed, but we have been assured about, we'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony. It'll be fun. Assured that by noon tomorrow is the anticipated time of delivery. So we're excited about that. Painting, we've been mentioning this kind of regularly. It will take place over the months of June and July, and to be completed, we've gave an absolute deadline of August 1st. So we're not running into anything come August when we're prepping for the beginning of the school year. And the final installation of all dispensers with our new supply contract will occur prior to August 1st. This does include, it's included in the contract. It's something where it's proprietary. So for the other company, they create their machines to fit a certain paper towel, for example, and only their products fit this particular paper towel dispenser. So when you switch companies, you have to ultimately replace all of your equipment because of the proprietary reason. So it's such a waste, and we aren't a fan of that. But again, that's all incorporated into the cost that we're paying. So it's quoted and still saving us $8,000 to $10,000 per year.
Susan, are we getting, I can't remember, are we getting new hand sanitizer stations?
The hand sanitizer stations are not coming with this particular contract. So that is one thing that is being locked off. We don't know that.
Are they gonna take those down?
They are going to be. So the other company comes and removes all of their equipment is the anticipated plan. Occasionally, they don't come to remove those things. So if that happens, we will have Gazelle and we'll have some help to take those different.
We're not painted.
They were not. They were painted around. So anything, well, evidenced by the outlet side
over each one.
wall mural up front.
That'll be
So
the inquiry quote though, for each teacher.
figure out a crafty
I'm
way.
thinking poles and paint, but
Okay.
we could manage. Poles maybe not.
Little whiteboard.
Big
Yeah,
ones.
there you go.
Graffiti
So-
stations.
We will address any of those concerns once the equipment is out and the new equipment comes in. Most of it, I assume, is gonna go on top of what is existing there with what they're doing.
Every company does that.
but-
Every single time.
amazing to me, they would be a non-wage, but yes. Any other questions on the facility? All right. So next we'll move into the May 2023 budget update. There are copies over here in that center pile if you'd like to check that out. This is the reconcile reports as of May 31st. Once June 30th hits, that's the end of our fiscal year. So then we will have some time to reconcile those bank accounts and all of our spending, and then we will have a report before the board. Typically, that does occur in August, September, and we will typically have our audit in October or November to finalize all of that. So it does take some time to reconcile these numbers, but that should be anticipated in the next couple of months. We're still, there really aren't any changes that are significant from the last time we met. We are still trending at about a $46,000 surplus. We anticipate this will be higher because of the savings that we have been able to apply with the DHHS health grant. So those final numbers will feel more accurate once we are able to reconcile all of the accounts. Any questions about the budget?
So there's still some things that say 100% remaining.
Right, so if you're
Some things
looking,
are grants, I get, but
and some of that, so if you're looking at, for example, SR 399, that has to be coded for our after-school math enrichment program, so they just haven't been paid out yet and hit there as of May. They were paid out in June for the stipends and the materials, so that's when you'll see that reconciled at the end of the year. The other 100%, where are we looking?
revenue.
Right, so all of that is going to be transferred at the end of the fiscal year. So that's where we took money out of our fund balance to cover the cost of the floors, the severance, all of that. That has not been moved yet. So it's been allotted in our budget. It reflects, but we haven't
And
spent
we're
that.
gonna put that into our fund balance.
Correct,
So we'll pay it after that.
right. Yes. And then the $2,500 fees and supplies, that will likely not be spent down. The 8409 are the last four numbers of our bank account. So the assumption there is that the escrow, because we had to open the escrow account for the retirement dissolution funds. There is a $2,500 charge for that account each year. We are looking into other options because we do believe we should not have to pay such a substantial fee to keep $50,000 aside in an account. But we are currently looking into those options. So that's where that number is coming from. We have paid that for the next year. So I am assuming that number is going to go down as well to zero because that's what it's there for. But that should be reconciled in the June budgets as well.
Susan.
Yes.
Remember I said, I wasn't very good. In the expenses, it looks like we went way over in certain things and
Yes, so some of those things were just not allocated correctly in the original budget. So for example, with your non-cap equipment, it was listed under cap equipment. So cap equipment included our Chromebooks, but cap equipment is $5,000 per item or over, which is not a Chromebook.
which is not.
Right.
Okay.
So because that was in the wrong line item, it wasn't remedied. So that's.
So that'll all sort itself.
That will sort itself out. It drives me crazy, but
Well, the overall number is still good. It's just, I just was making sure that I was seeing what I was seeing.
right. And we do go back and forth, and that's something we're hoping that we're gonna remedy some of that moving forward. We do have a transition coming up. So July 1 is when Charter Success Partners is going to take over. And we have had great interactions with them thus far. So this would have been the case where we would have come before the board and said, we'd like to make an amendment, and this is what it should reflect. But that's where we're sitting there.
Gotcha, no problem.
Any other questions with? So then we will move into our fiscal year 24 budget. I did send out the detailed report to everyone for you to review. This is the condensed consolidated board report for the budget. And this is something that will have a signature inserted at the bottom if it's approved today. And this is what we'll be submitting to the state for our approved budget. There are always things that number one come up or things that weren't considered. That's when the amendment takes place. So this is just a rough estimate of where we think we'll land. I do view this coming year as a good year of calibration because we really are operating on our operating budget. Sans about $10,000 that we're rolling over from 181, which is pass-through funding. We are operating at what we should be anticipating in years to come, barring any minute changes. The other thing I wanted to mention for this budget is it does reflect salary increases on the current salary schedule. The state has a habit of passing budgets well after we've done this. So what would happen if we anticipate that this is going to pass and the budget's going to have a more substantial increase in there for teachers, they will be paid according to that salary schedule. They will get retroactive pay. This is all funded by the state. So if they approve that in the budget, we will have the funds. It's not like that's going to wash us out and we're going to have an issue with giving those salary increases. So this incorporates, number one, we operate very conservatively with the numbers that we received in revenue this year. It could go up, it typically does, but we like to keep that bottom line pretty low so that we're not overextending ourselves with our budget. So all of these revenues are numbers that we carried over from last year, and the anticipated total revenue, and again, I think it's going to be higher than this, but we're at about $4.54 million. Salaries and wages, as I mentioned, do reflect those salary step increases on the 22-23 teacher salary schedule. Benefits are incorporating Social Security and Medicare, state retirement, health insurance, and state unemployment. These are estimates, of course, for the most part, with the exception of the state retirement is 24.1%. So that's a pretty easy figure to calculate once you have your total salaries factored in. The Social Security and Medicare is an equation as well, so you're not looking at a surprise there. It's about 7%. Books and supplies under that category is your instructional supplies, your music supplies, EC supplies, office supplies, art supplies, fundraising supplies, which we earmarked for hopefully option for inquiry number 2. So we have a little bit of money, about $1,500 to kind of reserve the location and get ourselves started if we do choose to have that event again or whatever the shape of that event takes place. We've got Riptide Runner fundraising supplies, which is a line item that is money in, money out. So we list it as what we're collecting revenue from our families, and that goes out to the t-shirts, the registration, anything that is associated with the cost of Riptide Runners. Health supplies, security supplies, membership dues and fees. That's like our North Carolina Charter Association membership. We have to pay for that each year. Postage and shipping, and the sales tax expense. Sales tax is something that we apply for twice a year. We file for those, we get that back. So it's a reimbursement, it's another money in, money out. For contracted student services, you're looking at your EC services, your psychological services, as speech services, health services, and then field trips is listed in contracted students. That's one of those items that Acadia placed it under instructional supplies more so. This is where it's sitting right now. We'll talk about coding with Charter Success Partners and make sure that we're coding that appropriately. Field trips are money in, money out as well. So we're charging families for the cost of the field trip. We're recouping that. It's not giving us any revenue. We have increased that to $50,000, that line item, because that's about where we were this year with our extensive overnight field trips. So your DC, your Williamsburg, all of the field trips that we took, the middle grades retreat, that put us about $50,000. So that's where we budgeted for. And if that number increases, that's great. We just adjust the budget and reflect that in the cost of whatever we're doing for our students. Let's see. All right, So staff development, we did decrease our workshop expenses. So we were operating at about 25,000 this year. That was one of the places that we did cut up to $15,000. We are rolling over $10,000 from our SO3 funding is about what we think we'll land at, and that's for PD expenses. This is something that we of course value. So if this number needs to be looked at, we certainly can, but this is how we operated in the past prior to COVID funds. This is kind of a typical number. So we'll evaluate that throughout the year and see if we need to adjust that. EC workshops is typically written for in a grant. Board workshop expenses, we've decreased that from 2,000 to 1,000 for this year. And we may not spend that much. It's just, we like to allocate that for
Sandwiches.
We-
How many price sandwiches? We're gonna be spending
We're not gonna spend $1,000 on sandwiches.
It's wonderful.
We're gonna get some really fancy sandwiches this year. They're gold plated.
I'm not gonna see different caviar.
Really sad. Cut your workshop. And education reimbursements is really low at 500. This is for those random, like, we have had situations where the licensure system did not process correctly, and we have had to reimburse the additional processing of that. So things like that we account for, but it's only $500. Administrative services, this number is high because of the financial services and Charter Success Partners and the Power School services and Charter Success Partners and our technology services through Emerge. So those three are the main three things that are hitting here that makes this number.
The state doesn't.
Well, the state provides us access and requires we access Power School. They do not provide personnel to, so most schools have a data manager.
Right.
We don't have that position here, and a lot of that, so Deborah in the front office does a lot of the Power School pieces, but those bigger items that are required, we have a service that we pay for that.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Wow. You have to use it
Oh, yeah,
and you have to pay for it.
absolutely.
How convenient.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't get us started. There are so many examples of that. And this is being recorded, so someone will come after me. Yes, so that is correct. The financial services are, they're pulling down the funds. They're going into the system at the state level, and it's very complex. Could I do it? I might be able to do it. Would it be very time intensive? It would. So I don't know that all of the other responsibilities would be taken care of. It's something that we are continually evaluating, but we aren't comfortable yet to say that's something that we would be able to provide in-house. So we do rely on that service as well. We have over budgeted a bit for our technology services, just in case, we need that extra padding, but it is about $22,000 to $24,000 per year for that technology service that we partner with. And we have budgeted $30,000 for that in case we need a little bit more in the world of technology and their services. Insurances, you're looking at workers' compensation, general liability, and other insurances and judgment is kind of a catch-all. So if you recall, this past year, we did opt for a student and liability, an insurance policy for student accident. That falls under this category. And that was a good investment. Rent and debt service is just our mortgage, so any fees associated with that and what we're paying to our bank for that. So that's how much we spend in that per year. Facilities, we've got building services, which is fixing something that's broken, calling the plumber in, anything that involves something to maintain the building. Building supplies and materials are the materials that we have to order to fix those things or to update the campus. Custodial services are the people, we do have a maintenance person who is here on a full-time basis, and then we have a nightly custodial service, so that's factored into facilities as well. Custodial supplies and materials is that new contract I was telling you about with the, the supplies for cleaning and maintaining our hygiene. Grounds maintenance is our landscaping, and then we have security monitoring. So that's anything that has to do with the alarm system, anything that we have for the security cameras, which were installed last year. We used a portion of the safety grant to install those security cameras. Now it's maintaining them and making sure we have what we need for that. Utilities are electric, water, and sewer, waste management, and telephone. Telephone's always more expensive than I think it should be, but that's where it is, so we budgeted about 5,000 for that. Something that we're always evaluating, you just never know where you're going to land with that, especially with electric. So we're budgeting about 50,000 for electric. This is an average annual expenditure, but that could be higher or lower depending upon truly the weather, whatever we see there. Technology, we've got instructional software, EC instructional software, software for the office. So this is going to be your lotteries, which is now School Mint with our new Charter Success Partners. That's what they utilize for the lottery software. Tech equipment instructional. So for example, if someone gets a vibe board for their classroom, that could be coming out of tech equipment instructional. Tech equipment EC, which is written for in a grant. Tech equipment in the office, which is low, about $1,000, and that's if we need to replace something or update something. We have $0 in cap tech equipment. Remember, I said it had to be a $5,000 price tag. We have no intention of ordering anything that's $5,000 or greater for the upcoming school year in technology equipment. So that's why that number is at 0. And tech supplies and materials at about 5,000. Non-cap equipment and leases. This is the bulk of this is our Chromebooks for the next year. So we have to order those new sets of Chromebooks. We have students leaving in the 8th grade. We have to have the new Chromebooks in the 4th grade. So we've got a pretty good, I would say, a pretty good plan for a rotation at this point for both student Chromebooks and staff laptops. We ordered them all at the same time. It puts us in a, I don't want to say a precarious situation, but it's not the best model, right? So now we just have to start gradually replacing these. And as we gradually replace, we'll be on a schedule. So every year we buy 8 to 10 laptops and we're able to continue to be updated without, them acting like a useless brick. That's eventually what happens. Hot ears and reproduction is also in here, so that's at 11,000. And that could go up, so we will leave that there, but from what I understand, the lease is up, so we do have to investigate that. That's just the number that we know right now. Nutrition and food was pretty stable this year, and we do have money left over right now. So we're looking at about 10,000 in unprepared food purchases. That's for our free and reduced lunch population and our prepared lunches each day. Nutrition supplies and materials, that's coming out of your, the bags that we have to order, the silverware, that's not the actual food, so it has a separate line item. And then other food office is if we do have a staff event where we want to feed people, but we don't have a meeting attached to it, it has to come out of this line item. If we have a meeting and we have an agenda and we want to feed people, it can come out of workshop expenses. I am going to discourage that because we have decreased our workshop expenses. So if this isn't an extravagant area, we've budgeted $2,000. I mean, to feed the whole staff, you're looking at between $500 and $800 for a lunch, really. So it's not as if we're extravagant. We do really temper that, but it is built into the budget for those celebrations where we don't necessarily have an agenda. Right. Any questions on the consolidated or detailed version of the proposed budget?
I just noticed.
No, but thank you to all those involved in putting it together.
Thanks, Neil.
This is not a zero balance.
It's not, and it's not the recommendation. So Charter Success Partners, we talked about that. They prefer to have, so we've got about a $44,000 surplus, which is something that they have recommended not to go into the zero base. Some schools do it that way. I feel more comfortable having some surplus that we can say to ourselves, if we don't spend this, this is going into our savings account, into the fund balance. But if we do have something that comes up, we can adjust and amend the budget as well. So it's a philosophical thing. But the recommendation from our partner was to maintain a pretty healthy balance if we can, which at this point where we are, we can't.
So I understand that. That makes sense, and I get that. So our concern in the past, we did that so that we did not represent to the state that we have extra money floating around. And so that, they wouldn't say, well, you don't look like you need this money, let's just take that little bit back. because they, in the past, have done that.
Well,
So I just,
the different, and I'm
that's just a
open
new
to,
thing, and it took me a little while to even realize, I was like, what's that? Oh. It took me a minute,
so we can't save state funds, we can save local
Right.
funds. So the way that this would be represented is that we would spend down all federal and state funds, and local funds would be something we could pay. I think the rationale, and if we run into a problem, I'm certainly open to change it, and we can find places to put this case more for workshops. The rationale is for any school that's looking to ensure that they have fiscal health and need to save money for building improvements or changes in wherever the venue may be or anything like that. It's important that we're trying to tuck that money away. So we are allowed to save local funds. And that was the recommendation from Charter Success Partners. But if anybody has reservations or if we want to revisit that, we can also amend it. I haven't run into anyone who has brought that concern, but it's not that it's not happening.
there are other charter schools that are doing.
That is the
budgets
majority
that they're
of
submitting
CSPs.
Period.
That's, yeah, that's what we talked about. Now, I can verify that with our person tomorrow. But yeah, that's what she said, preferably not to go down to the zero.
Is there, budget for maintenance of the bus?
We are factoring that into, so right now, currently, we don't have any cost for maintenance of the bus for 5 years because that's. So we've got a pretty good deal with that bus, in terms of mileage and, things like that, that's gonna be built into field trips for now. We did talk about this in our finance committee. We talked about, is there a flat field trip fee that we apply on top of the fee that is for admission and other things like that? We weren't comfortable jumping to that just yet because we may be able to just, mileage isn't as crazy expensive when you're not traveling long distances. You don't tend to go to jail. We're going to Halliburton, it's not going to cost us a whole lot of money. So I think this year is going to be important for us to keep an eye on what the costs are and determine whether or not we really need to put that into the budget. So the cost of the driver, the hourly rate for the driver, and the mileage will be built into the field trip.
Gotcha.
And then we'll see where we go.
I wonder. I feel like it could be something really in 5 years, if it's in phase. Is it a quarterly maintenance thing or is it mileage based? 10,000 mile change.
I don't know the answer to that. I would have to check.
I wonder, like, as they do it for free, if you could just say, yes, I know this is free, but
How much it costs.
could you give me
Could you give us
this
a
so we
breakdown?
could project?
That's a great idea.
And I think it's a lot like our technology plan. I think we just start saving it, right? We start saving it aside and putting it in the budget now so that it doesn't feel like such a big hit. when it comes
I also wonder if they'll just turn around and say, sell it for 5 years and buy it.
And for grant opportunities.
Let's hope they don't say that.
Would it surprise you?
It would not surprise me. Would
You
not
know what they do
surprise
for a
me.
living, right?
They might be
They sell
surprised.
buses.
Well, I will say, despite the fact that they sell the buses and that's what they're paid for, they have been very helpful and have gotten us in contact. So right now, for example, no one will help us get our drivers trained. The counties are not willing to allow us to tack on to their training programs. DOT gave me a number and I sat, it didn't even ring, and then I sat with the phone on for 3 hours and nothing happened. So I don't know what happened there, so that's an investigation for another day. I was far too frustrated that day to even pursue it. So what they have done is said, well, you can tack on to our training. It's in Fayetteville, so we have to kind of work out the logistics there. And then after those 2 days of training, it would be a certain number of hours behind the wheel, which is a pretty substantial number of hours, but they would work with us so that we could train additional drivers. It's something that a few of our staff members have expressed interest in, and we'd love to have somebody on campus that's available and willing to drive with us because we've had such inconsistency when it comes to the driver's availability, which we are hoping is going to change, but it might not be. So just trying to have multiple people who are in place that can drive the bus so that we can utilize it more often.
I wonder too about, I think you talked about this, and I think Ben was in it too, but some kind of partnership with Glow too, or some other, other schools that have buses that, could be that, especially for the driving piece, getting the hours for driving, I think that
Right.
could be a
They
real
just go on the
possibility.
routes with them
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. They have a fleet at this point.
Yeah.
So is our bus different than driving the little van style buses?
You have to have
We
a
have to have a
CDL.
And it's a school bus endorsement and a passenger endorsement. So there are two other elements on top of that. So it's not just a truck driver who has a CDL can come in and drive the bus. Can, but has to get the endorsements as well.
So do you know, do the counties have, call it? Do they sign, the bus drivers in the county sign some sort of paper that says they won't work for anybody else?
I
Could
don't
they,
believe so.
could we get somebody like that if we advertise it? We just said you gotta have a license.
You could, but I'll just tell you that they're having a hard time finding bus drivers. So it doesn't mean that somebody couldn't do that, but even to do the extra runs and stuff, I have a hard time. But could we? Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think if we just put all of our thinking on some creative solutions, we are investigating some of them as a major project over the summer. So that we're not in the same position next year as we were this year when we surprised out of us much sooner than we thought we were going to. So it was a good problem to have, but then we just had to navigate that for the rest of the school year. So there is as everyone's aware, a nationwide driver shortage. So really we're targeting anybody who has, or we'll send you to the training. We're fine with that, who's willing to be so inconsistent when it comes to, we just need people for field trips. It's not something that's a regular problem. And that bus is an activity bus. It does not have a stop arm. It cannot be used for a regular pickup and drop off. So there are limitations that we have to. But yeah, I think that's such an unknown for us that we have to just be mindful to track those kinds of expenses and figure out what we need to do moving forward. Because we have no baseline, it's very difficult for us to figure that out right now.
It's pretty awesome to give you 5-year maintenance.
Yeah, it was a really good deal.
But we only spent on
I know. Super good deal.
Throw a few oil changes. What?
It's pretty.
That's good.
Instead of boarding on the bus.
There you go.
Is that what you said?
A driving.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep, sounds good to me.
All right.
That's probably not a good thing. So we at least know how to stay at sea.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I would love the bus adventures that have come back too. It's a whole experience. Any other questions about the proposed budget? All right, so we will need the board to vote on that proposed budget. Again, we make amendments as we need them. This is nothing that is, etched in stone at this point, but this is what we're gonna submit for our proposed budget.
Right now.
We will do that right now. or-
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
Neil?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. And
Did you
Neil-
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You're good.
Okay.
Neil has very
I
helpful
said aye.
Finance committee, so thank you, Neil, for all of your help with this too. All right, do I have more things?
Yeah, we're doing a strategic plan.
We are, all right, you and I together.
We got it.
All right, so we did want to take a moment to share our strategic plan goals with you. We do have a pretty little document that we'll put up on our website, but this is where we are. So I can't see that. So our timeline here was September 27th. We had a family feedback session. So we basically brought people in who are available and willing to come in. We set them up in groups and they went around and did some brainstorming with what they'd love to see CFCI look like by the year 2026. November 1st, we sent out a parent survey for any of the families who could not attend the family feedback. January 4th, we had a faculty meeting and we did that exact same activity with our faculty members. We shared the parent feedback with them and then they had an opportunity to go around with the same headings and offer their feedback as well. January 31st, our strategic planning committee met. We had representation from parents, from PCEN, from our staff members, and from leadership as well. So we took that information and kind of coded it and determined where those priorities should lie over the next 3 years, trying to be realistic, but also address some of the concerns that were brought up by the faculty and the families. Then March, April, the leadership team met to discuss and develop the strategic plan from that feedback. May 1st, the strategic planning committee met to review the strategic plan and the plan was sent to staff for review. May 3rd, we had a staff meeting and we reviewed the strategic plan at our faculty meeting. And then today is June 20th and we are presenting to you. So there's the timeline of how this kind of unfolded this year. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim for a goal summary involving education.
So the first umbrella is focus on students. Goal 1, we just numbered them 1 through 9. So it's not like under focus and different focus areas that there's 1 or 2 goals. There are 1 or 2 goals, but they're numbered 1 through 9. So that's all the goals we have. Just so I can clarify that, sorry. So goal number 1 is to support the evolving needs of our students, where we'll be reviewing our behavioral and mental health services, including coordination and implementation of school-wide SEL curriculum. And we are already well on our way to that, meeting that goal. So I'm pretty excited about that. Goal, and we did, as soon as we started planning these goals, we start incorporating them, right? Because you have to budget for them and all of that. So we've done that. Goal number 2, we will expand opportunities for students to have a direct impact on their school community and strengthen their own leadership skills. So that's through curriculum, that's through partnerships, all of that type of thing. Our umbrella of focus on curriculum instruction, goal number 3, sorry. We will expand and improve comprehensive curriculum resources for kindergarten through grade 8, using the foundations of inquiry-based instruction and responsive classrooms. So our 2 foundational tenets. In goal number 4, we'll evaluate its plan. We'll evaluate our plan for gifted education and establish a vision for its future. So we do have a gifted plan right now, but it is not a comprehensive plan. So this is really looking at it for more than what we have right now. Focus on family and community partnerships. So goal number 5, we will develop, implement, and maintain a well-supported volunteer program composed of parents, community partners, and other stakeholders to support the learning and development of students. We do have wonderful volunteers right now, but we feel like this could be an area where we could branch out and expand and strengthen. Goal number 6, we will help families increase their understanding of the impact of student mental health and their role of partnering with the school for student success. So this would be things, for example, like parent education seminars, that type of thing. Maybe a book study. Those are just a few of the ideas. There's lots of ideas, but that's the goal. And then Susan's going to take away the other 3.
Sure. So focus on human resources development. CFCI will develop a continuous process for attracting and retaining experienced and high quality staff. We felt this was a goal actually in the previous strategic plan. We felt that it was very important to continue our efforts in this area, especially given the fact that we have seen a shortage in applicants across the education field. So it's something that we need to put our resources into. Focus on facilities. CFCI will develop a comprehensive facilities plan to extend to 2030, recognizing that this is complete in 2026, but we want to make sure that we are planning for the future and anticipating any future needs. So that would be part of this goal. And a focus on finance. CFCI will create a financial plan which incorporates a comprehensive facility management plan, as we mentioned, a balanced budget, healthy investments, and a capital campaign. So that final piece is that final leg, that capital campaign that does incorporate several components, but that's a goal that we'd like to work up to so that we can start to increase our fund balance and just give us a little more freedom when it comes to investment and how we want to allocate those. That will be focused on through our finance committee and anybody else who's interested in joining those efforts as well. Just for your information, the document that we will put on the website does include timelines as well. So what are we going to accomplish in the year 23-24? By this month, we anticipate that this will be complete. How we're going to incorporate that is through our committee work, through our faculty meetings, keeping this at the forefront, making sure that we're bringing this back up at board meetings and updating all of you on our progress as well, because it's important that these are those kinds of things that are so important and integral to the success of the school, but also very easy to forget as you get into the weeds of the school year. So our goal as co-directors is to make sure that we continue to update you all at the board regularly, so this maintains our progress on the strategic plan.
And we're also planning on updating, obviously, teachers through faculty meetings and staff, but also in the community update will be making sure that that's, at least once a month, there's something there that talks about what we're doing and how we're doing. So,
Any questions on strategic plan? Okay. And we have one more thing. So lots of exciting things happening here. We are just going into a new strategic plan, and we will be up for charter renewal in June 2025. So that process actually takes 2 years. Now is the time that we have to start. The beginning step in that process is to basically sign a letter and address it to the state, DPI, and their contact in the charter renewal board. And basically we would like to, I'll just read the letter to you. It's linked in your agenda, but it's very brief. In accordance with North Carolina Department of Public Instruction guidelines, please accept this letter of intent to renew the charter agreement of Cape Fear Center for Inquiry. We propose to renew our charter for a term of 10 years to begin on July 1st, 2025. We will submit the charter renewal application for the charter agreement according to the timeline imposed by the Office of Charter Schools and CFCI. We look forward to working with you during the renewal process and appreciate your consideration. I think it's important to mention that the board is very essential in this process as well. There are meetings that they will have with us where they send out a representative to our campus, meet with faculty members, meet with leadership, meet with board members, ask some questions. So we will prep you for all of this. You'll have all of the information, but it's not a passive process. It's something that we all will want to be involved in as we move into the charter renewal. So any questions with that?
we're going to continue with our charter. We're going to make that renewal application.
I think it doesn't hurt.
Right.
We can vote on that.
I'm starting this.
Renew
Second.
our charter.
On favor.
Great. Now I'm gonna hand this over to you to sign, and we will send that back to the state. Are you taking mine? You're lovely, thank you.
Just that one.
Oh, okay, I missed one. Sure, Amy and Josh.
Too bad.
What are you doing?
I really don't
a picture for a photo up for Kim.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's very exciting.
I love
Ridiculous, so I have
Yeah.
to fix the
you take the
frame
picture?
that's live, so I can fix it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that's it for me.
it.
Mhm.
All right, so for me, go back to the, so for, education, just as we usually do, just letting you know, we ended the year with, on June 9th, with 395 students enrolled. Our, full enrollment's 408, you might remember. For waitlist and incoming families, we have one healthy waitlist, with everything except for 8th grade. So we are promoting any 8th graders that might be interested in joining our school. It's not that we're completely depleted, but we're one kid away. So we'd love to have them join us if that's something somebody or somebody's interested. We're going to continue to promote applications for our middle grades specifically 7th and 8th, those are the lower numbers for our wait list. And that's that. We had successful parent meetings on 5/23 and a successful Rising 6th grade meeting on June 12th that was well attended. We're going to have an information, so our open house, our traditional open house, will be Thursday, August 17th, but prior to that, we're going to have a meeting for new families to just kind of go over the ins and outs of being a new family here at CFCI, which is a little different than just the open house or even curriculum nights. It's more informational. There we go. I'm not going to repeat myself. For professional development, we ended the year with our PD with Heidi Mills, Learning for Real. That focus was on inquiry. The faculty, we had a conversation at the end, and we believe that our model of Green Days is working, and we'd like to continue for the 2023-24 school year. We also want to make sure that we're meeting monthly for committees, and we'll also be doing some of our faculty meetings once a month. When we don't have a green day, will also be used for a green faculty meeting. So we're going to talk to all of you, the board, about whether or not having these meetings during the day deters you from being able to join in one of these board meetings, because that's part of what we would like to have people do. And you may or may not have a flexible schedule, but we're going to send out and talk to you about it in July so that you'll be able to prepare if you can be at the meetings. Our core committees for board committees are, and we've switched this, so PPRC was one of the committees this year, so we've switched that to finance. And the reason why is because there's so much work that's done on finance on a monthly basis that we think it's important to have that meeting and have good attendance with faculty and staff as well. Lifelong learning, instructional technology, and development. So PPRC and the teacher board will continue to meet after school, and a teacher council, sorry. In addition, we have a safety committee, and we're probably going to be looking at an ad hoc through the strategic plan for the gifted program. For field experiences, we had some really successful field experiences at the end of the year. We've really, and actually for the whole year, we've really gotten kids out into the world, out into the community, and specifically the middle grades retreat, Washington, D.C. and Williamsburg, with those big overnight trips that do a lot of fundraising, that type of thing. So we were very, very busy. And all the other trips, you know, K and 1 and all the way up through, they've done a lot of trips and used our new activity bus, so it's pretty exciting. We're working to fine tune some of those policies and procedures to make our process seamless, but we're really excited about the amount that kids are getting out into the community for good educational purposes. The weekly updates, these are just the last ones since the last board meeting, and they just have everything that you need to see that what's going on in the school, give you an idea. Partnership, our new partnership chairperson is Joanna Henderson, and the vice chair is Aaron Firth. This was an extremely, we just want to acknowledge as co-directors, but as a school, it was extremely productive and exciting year. We worked seamlessly with the partnership. I want to really thank Shelley Thomas and her team for leading the partnership and working hard on behalf of our teachers and students. And we're looking forward, we've already met with Joanna and Aaron, and we're really looking forward to continuing our partnership next year. Assessments, we've successfully tested, we're done with the school year, so we've successfully tested math, reading, and science. And we're looking forward to sharing the results of all of that hard work that our students have achieved in the fall with you. For RTA, summer reading camp, we're having a reading camp this summer, started this week, already had 2 days of it. We'll be conducting the 3-week Read to Achieve camp to be held with our younger students with to get reading proficiency for that. The camp's running June 19th to July 7th. We mentioned in the strategic plan that we were looking at social emotional learning for our students, and this includes purchasing a curriculum. It's called Everyday Speech. I've attached a link so that you can kind of explore it a little bit. And this is a K-8 curriculum. I think it'll be a great resource as our teachers got to look at it on June 13th last week, to get a kind of an idea of the scope and sequencing and actually how the units run and how they can incorporate that into any time during the day, but specifically the morning meetings and responsive advisory classrooms that we have. So that's really it for my report. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna go into our closed sessions. Need a motion for that.
We do.
Motion to move into closed session? I don't know. Motion to move into
I make a
closed-
motion.
So moved. I don't know if you got that or a second.
We got it.
All in favor? Motion approved.
Aye,
Neil, are you there?
That's the last thing.
I am here.
Good.
Yeah, Neil, you know what I'm thinking is, I might
Call
call
me
you.
on my cell phone?
Yeah,
Okay.
and move over, right? We'll move over next door, call Neil, and then you'll just come off of this for temporarily and then log back in. Does that make sense? Can you close
That's
your,
perfect. I'll hang up here.
you know what, we're gonna have to come in to vote though, right? Do we have that? Yeah, so why don't you just leave it if you want, Neil, and I could just turn you, just mute yourself and you're already on video, just mute yourself. That would be great. What?
You're
It's
just
terrible. No. you're not.
I am constantly told to mute myself by my wife. It's fine.
Oh my gosh. All right.
You can help.
Are we gonna be here for just a second?
Judy
Before we
Swear.
go next door, can you just share what you did?
I'm the transit.
Okay.
Okay.
I will, I will.
Be
I will.
standing here going.
Oh my God, Joanne, I just can't even.
Yeah, you have to make the contact first.
Okay. Did you hear anything, Joanne?
No, not,
Okay.
not on there. I could just hear from in there, so.
Please just let me know.
Let's be like this, or do you want to just, you want to pop back on? Oh, you're on, actually, you're still on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Swap back to the other line.
Okay, that's what we'll do, hold on.
I got it backwards.
Yeah, all right, bye.
All right, I'm on the other line.
Goes.
Motion to approve the HR reports. Move to, sorry.
So moved. Second.
Neil, you are a minute too late.
Trying to catch up.
Here's the report. Right here. And everyone's agreed to stay on their positions unless there are any other nominations. So I have a motion to continue this board makeup. Whatever. The board.
She's the officer.
The officer,
Yeah.
the officer.
Yeah.
The officer.
I was looking for words to, sorry.
He's thinking about it.
Unless you want to be an officer.
So is Evie still secretary?
Yeah.
Thanks, Evie.
Oh, we're
Yeah,
looking at
move to approve.
I guess I'll second it, because. Second.
All in favor?
Motion approved. There you go.
All right.
And you're official now.
Yay, welcome.
Guess what you're getting tomorrow? An email. An official email. Yay, well.
I think that's it. So we can
That's
adjourn the
it.
meeting.
Yep.
That was a lot in a small amount of
Yep.
time,
Let me,
so
let me
not too
unload
bad,
this.
people.
Good
Thanks,
work.
everybody. Bye, Neil. Not yet. Yeah, he's gone. Bye, bye, guys.
Bye.